All right, we've been talking about life in fire. Malachi chapter 3, verse 2 through 3. I teach out of the New American Standard. I think it's one of the more credible versions. So if anybody doesn't have a New American Standard and wants one, let me know. I'll help you get a pretty reasonable one. But it's nice that we can all be on the same page. Amen?
Amen.
Anyway, Malachi 3 says that who can endure or keep standing without quitting? That's what endure means, to keep going without quitting. Who can endure the day of his coming? There's an old show called Cop. What you going to do when they come for you? What you going to do when God comes for you? What are you going to do when his fire shows up? When he shows up, who will be able to stand in his presence? Because he will be like a refiner's fire, like fuller's soap. He will set as a smelter and purifier of silver, and he will purify the sons of Levi and refine them like gold, so that they may present the Lord an offering of righteousness, or God's moral code or ethical standards. So God's method as a refiner, he sends fire. His goal is to purify us. I mean, have any character defects? We've had a lot of bad character, but we need some good character. So, one of the reasons we're here in Liberty Lodge, we do a daily moral inventory where we do a self-examination, and we begin to take a journey down into our hearts and begin to examine what's working, what's not working, what's good, what's bad, and we begin to identify those different character defects, and then we bring them out, and then we get our journal out, and then we begin to ask God, what's really going on? Why do I have this? How can I improve? How can I grow? I still keep a journal every day. Why am I like this? Why am I a mess? I ask good questions. My questions aren't, God, oh, you're so mean. Oh, you're so cruel. What's in the well comes up in the bucket. It's there. It is what it is. And so, Lord, it is what it is. I can't deny it. I can't fake or be phony with you. So let's get to work. Let's do it. Teach me how I can grow, how I can use this fire, so to speak. So God sends fires. That's his method, and his goal is to purify us, develop proven character that has been tested and tried, put in the fire over and over again, until basically all those character defects are gone the best they can be, and what's left is good character that God can use while we're here on earth, and then use it up in heaven. So we're forever in a school. We're either in a fire, coming out of a fire, or we're going back. It's a process. It is what it is. James 1, 2 through 4 says, to count it all joy, my brethren, when, not if, but when you encounter various trials or tribulations or tests or fires, knowing, understanding, and embracing the fact that these tests and trials produce endurance, the ability to remain under pressure, what we just said. And it says, let endurance have its perfect result, that you may be perfect, complete, lacking in nothing. That's talking about proven character. So we're going to find ourselves in the fire, and we have a choice. God's fire. We can look at the fire as opposition. God, you're so mean. Oh, you're so cruel. I don't understand why you're doing to me. Or we can see it as it is what it is. It's an opportunity to grow. Like I say, if something is coming up in you, that means it's down in the bucket. You can deny it all day long and stuff it in the trash can, but eventually someone's going to knock your trash can over and there's going to be nasty garbage everywhere. Okay, so you might as well go ahead and just knock it off and let's get through the nastiness. We do things called stink cartoons. Have you ever done those? Done it with the stink car. That's taking ownership of our stink, the things that stink about us. I love who I am today, but I still got things that stink. I got stinking thinking and things that I don't like, and I'm still working on me. I'm a work in progress. So I got a choice. I can run from the fire or take it as I can go ahead and let God develop me in the fire, or I can ask God to take me out of the fire, and I can take myself out of the fire. I can go different, or I can go ahead and suck it up and go deeper with this opportunity. I can get better, pour a little on me, or I can get better. I can be a victim, or I can be a victor. But either way, if you belong to God, then His method is He's going to get proven character. He's preparing us for eternity. He's preparing us to be the bride of heaven. And He wants a pure, spotless bride. So anyway, it's not when fires come, not if they come, but when they come. How are we going to handle that? You're going to submit to it, embrace it, or you're going to let it get your goat and cause you to go back out and go around the mountain over and over again. Tonight, let's turn to Hebrews chapter 12. Tonight's sermon is going to be called Precious Pain. What in the world is precious pain? Let's take a look at what it is. Hebrews. Don't know who the writer is, but most likely it was Paul because of his style, but who knows. Anyway, Hebrews, our text for the next couple of weeks is going to be Hebrews chapter 12, verses 4 through 13. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 4 through 13. Talks about the Father's discipline. How many know God is our Father? And He's a good Father. But He ain't playing either, is He? Okay? You're not codependent. Y'all know what that means? Not a people pleaser. He's not insecure. He's not afraid to say no. He does what He needs to do, how He needs to do it, for your own good, whether you like it or not. It is what it is. Everybody say, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I can join in or embrace it, or I can fight, or I can flight. I've learned that fighting and running is not going to do a bit of good. How many of you got away when your dad was running around with the belt? Mama's slipper didn't work too good anymore, did it? You ran from her, but we didn't get away from the belt too long, so sometimes we just got to go ahead and take the trip to the woodshed and make the best of it and come back and hopefully learn from our mistakes. Amen?
Amen.
So it says, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding blood in your struggle against sin. You ain't even broke a sweat compared to the people of Hebrews chapter 11 that got their heads cut off and burned at the stake and fed to the lions and poor little me in life, we ain't seen nothing. We ain't even broke a sweat. Or have you forgotten the exhortation, which is a challenge, a strong urge to go in a certain direction? Paul used to say, I say this is the Lord. I strongly say this is the Lord saying this, or maybe it's the Lord, maybe it's not, but either way, I believe this is good and acceptable in the sight of the Lord. So it's a good thing. Hebrews says, don't. Somewhere along the line there was a challenge about God's nature, about who He is. There's some things we need to learn about God, His nature. One of them, like I said, He's not codependent. So it says, don't forget that challenge about who God was and how He operates, what His methods are, about His fires and His testing, and how He does business, and He's after proven character. I'm ad-libbing here, okay? Which is, my son, God talking to you, if you're a son. How many are sons of God? Or daughters of God? Same thing. So if you're truly a son of God and you've been born again, you belong to Him. You ain't your own. You've been bought and paid for the price. It's not okay for you to run out there and do your own thing. Are you with me? You've been bought and paid for with the price. You've been had. You might as well accept it. You got your fire insurance, but there's a lot of unconditional things at the bottom of fine print that you didn't read. That when they start coming up, you might not like it. Oh, give your heart to Jesus, and everybody thinks it's going to be perfect. No, you just entered into a war zone. Amen. So if you're a son, don't regard lightly or take for granted the discipline of the Lord. The word discipline there, it's a different word, not gymnazo, it's called paideia, which means child training. Okay. It's not the discipline that you do when you go to the gym and you pump iron, no pain, no gain. Okay, but it's the rearing, the discipline, the things that God does to make you grow up. Whatever. Time out. Let's go to the woodshed. Time for the belt. All these kinds of disciplines. We'll go into this next week, how He talks to us first, and if that doesn't work, then He goes to another level. That doesn't work, then He goes to another level. That doesn't work, the belt comes off. And then finally there's excommunication, where He turns you over to the devil. We'll talk about His discipline next week. But this is about the responsibility that God has as a good Father to discipline us. And it says, don't faint when He reproves you or corrects you. For those, and this is the PowerPoint right here, those whom God loves, He's going to discipline. Come easy, come hard, like it or not, it is what it is. If you're His son, He loves you, and because of that love, He's going to do what's best for you. Not what feels good, not what looks good. No matter how much you cry and moan and throw temper tantrums, He ain't going to buy into all those victim mentalities and all that projection and all that stuff we do through it. He ain't a bit of a people pleaser. For those who love, He will discipline you. He scourges. That actually means to pull out the whip. The belt comes off. I mean, I heard of Jesus getting scourged. I don't think it's quite that kind of scourging, but it's the purpose of it is severe. It means to severely remind you, you can't do this anymore. Okay? Don't come in here preaching this Jesus thing. We're going to scourge you, and let you go, but don't come back here. Next time, it might cost you your head. He scourges every single son whom He receives. Everybody that He's adopted into the family of God, you're now a child of God, and now you're under His discipline. You're on His watch. You're His sheep, and He's your shepherd. It is for discipline that you endure. Keeps you from quitting. God deals with you as with sons. For what son is there whom his father does not discipline? One of the biggest problems we have in the families today, there's no father in the house. There's no discipline. And if there is discipline, it's the wrong kind of discipline. It's not godly discipline. I think one of the worst things we ever did to our kids is we can't spank them anymore. The Bible even says, you spare the rod, you hate your child. When I was in school, they walked around with a board. You ever, no?
Yeah.
You just even got out of line one bit. It was grab the wall, baby, and they'd light you up off the ground with paddle. Then they started drilling holes in it.
Exactly.
It worked real good, didn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't get it.
You're still getting it, ain't you?
Yeah, from him,
Well,
but not from a human being.
so if we are without discipline, which we've all been around people that we didn't receive discipline from, or didn't take care enough to love us to discipline us, then you're considered an illegitimate children and not sons. That word illegitimate is the word bastard. You know how they were treated. Furthermore, we had our earthly fathers who disciplined and trained us and brought us up to some degree or another, whether it was good or bad, and we had a respect for them. This is talking about relatively good fathers. Shall we not much rather be subject to God, submit to God's discipline, embrace it, and live? It doesn't have to get ugly. For they, meaning our earthly fathers, they discipline us the best they know how for a short time, as seemed proper and good to them. But he, not an imperfect father or an earthly father, but the perfect, being a perfect father, not codependent, he disciplines us for our own good. Why? So that we may share in his holiness. What does the Bible say in Peter? We are to be holy like he is holy. God is trying to develop Christ-like character, make us holy. He's preparing us for heaven so we can have a better eternity. So his reason is to produce holiness in our life, to be Christ-like, so we can enjoy it now and later. All discipline that we're going through right now, and this is the main verse tonight, all the discipline all the fires that we find ourselves in right now are not joyful, but sorrowful. Amplified says, no discipline brings any joy in it. It seems grievous and it seems painful. But afterwards, after we've got the spanking, after we've gotten through the fire, after we've been corrected, after we've humbled ourselves, after it's ran its course and done what it needs to do, afterwards, the goal and the result is going to be a precious pain. We might not like it, it might not feel good, but it'll end up being good for us. Amplified says, afterwards it will yield and produce a peaceable fruit of righteousness. That means integrity, right standing, good morals, good character. To those who have been trained by it, those who have submitted to it, embraced it. They welcome it. They see it as opportunity and not opposition. They say, my bad. I broke the law. I broke the rules. I deserve it, Dad. Go ahead and bring out the belt. Do what you need to do. I deserve it. Let's get it over, and I'll try to do better next time. Afterwards, when we've been trained by it, it produces a full harvest of fruit, consisting in righteousness and conformity to God's will and purpose, in thoughts and actions, resulting in right living and right standing with God. There's an old song by John Cougar Mellencamp, I think was his name. It hurts so good. You all remember that one? Come on, baby, it hurts so good. What in the world is that all about? I mean, sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better. Sometimes things do hurt. But when we wake up and realize it's for my own good, then it helps us get through it, endure, doesn't it? And we realize that it's really good for me. I break my arm. Painful. You may say, hey, let me take you to the doctor and let's get to the doctor and reset this thing. And I may say, oh no, I ain't going to do that. Well, I'm going to walk around with a broken arm the rest of my life. And it will heal in the wrong way. You'll be impaired for life. Or I could just go ahead and say, man, I ain't looking forward to this, but just go ahead and go to the doctor. Let's put the stick in the mouth. Here's what's hurting that lady. Let me jam that shoulder back in place. Then the pain was going to be worth it at that point. Are you with me? Didn't feel so good, but it hurt so good because you know once it's back in place, then I can go on back. How stupid is that to just keep the pain when it can be fixed? A lady having a baby, boy, she ain't all about being joyful with that kind of pain. But afterwards, when the baby pops out, all that pain is gone, and now the joy. She forgets all about that pain, doesn't she? So she endures the pain because of the joy that it'll bring to her afterwards. Mark chapter 4, verse 35, Jesus one day said to his disciples, let's go to the other side of the lake. Everybody say, let's get to the other side. Let's just get to the other side of this thing. Let's get it over with. How many of you have ever been, this is kind of bad, but it fits if you've been there. How many have ever been really, really drunk and the room starts spinning and you're nauseated and you're trying not to throw up? Finally you just go ahead and go to the bathroom and let it all out, baby. Get it out and you feel so much better. Saves you from all the misery of the next day by getting rid of all that nasty alcohol that's going to sit there and give you a horrible hangover. It was much better to go ahead and do it, but it ain't so fun at the time, is it? Jesus said, let us go to the other side. Oh, that's great. Everybody jumps in the boat. They get in the boat. Jesus falls asleep. All of a sudden, what happens? A storm comes. Or fire comes. This wasn't just this was a fiery fire. This wasn't even just a little storm. Actually, it was a fierce storm. It was more like a hurricane. If you've ever been to the Sea of Galilee, I've been there and I've seen it. It's way, way down, and the wind swoops down into this valley, and in just in a few minutes, it can sweep through that valley, and something in there makes it just turn into a ferocious hurricane. The next thing they know, they're all freaking out, scared for their life, and here Jesus said, we're going to the other side. You know, okay? But they forgot what Jesus said. Jesus says, let's go to the other side, meaning let's do this thing. But Jesus didn't tell them about what was getting ready to happen, about the great storm and the gale that was coming. Next thing they know, they're over there looking at Jesus and say, what's wrong with you? Sleeping. You know? Don't you care? What's wrong with you? You said we were going to the other side. How in the world could you lead us into this situation and now put us in such a storm? Deliver us. Take us out of this fail. Stop this thing. They saw it as opposition and not opportunity. They wanted to be delivered and rather than developed and try to learn why Jesus let that happen. He knew they were going to the other side. He knew a storm was coming. He don't have any strange coincidence. He knew exactly what was going to happen. But they accused him of not caring. How many of you ever been in a fire and you accuse God of not caring about you? You're mean. You're cruel. How can you do this to me? You're asking the wrong questions. If you belong to God, He belongs to you, and your problems become His problems. And so, you got to ask the right questions. It's not, how in the world could you let this storm come? But okay, you've let this storm come, you knew it was coming, so how can I get through this storm? How can I get through this pain and turn it from pain to turn it into a precious pain? All of a sudden, Jesus woke up and just said, all right, knock it off, boom. And it went from Hurricane 5 category down to absolute perfect calmness. Can you imagine that? And they're like, whoa. We need to quit telling God how big our storms are and start telling our storms how big our God is. Are you with me? Amen. The children of Israel. Egypt. Bondage. Under the taskmaster. Saw himself in a prison. God sent Moses to get him out of there. The devil didn't want to let him go too quick, did he? So he threw all these, or God had to throw all these plagues out there. And so God said, I've got a land called Canaan. It's a promised land where you're going to have freedom. 400 years they've been victims. Building bricks under the taskmaster. That's as good as it gets. Okay? Have you ever been building bricks for the taskmaster? Can't ever get out. All of a sudden God sees their pain and says, let my people go. I've got a beautiful, wonderful land, man. They got cucumbers over there the size of a bus. They got watermelons that look like blimps. And, it's a land full of milk and honey, man, and I'm promising to you, it's your divine destiny. And they're all like, all right, let's get packed, ready to go. God gives them favor. The Egyptians give them all kinds of gold and shoes and just stack it up, baby. So they get on a journey. After about 3 days, they get to the promised land, and then they send a few spies in to check it out. And what do they see in the land? Giants. Or what? Fires, storms, opposition. They come back and say, oh, we're just like mere grasshoppers. We're nobody. There's no way we can do this. They forgot all about what God had told them. Look, we're going to the other side. He didn't talk to them about what it was going to look like when he got it. He just told them that. So through fear and unbelief, they became victims rather than victors. And they said, let's just go back here to the pain of facing this thing. So here they get a fire. They're right here. God doesn't tell them, but he calls them into a fire. Once they get in the fire, they start seeing all these things that are in the way. They don't believe what God's told them. They start saying, boy, it was, they get into the wilderness, and there's no food, there's no water, and God cracks the rock, brings them water, no food. He brings them meat from above. He brings them bread from heaven. He gives them tennis shoes that don't wear on. I mean, they go through all these different storms and trials. God delivers them out of every single one of them. And every time they're back here to seeing opposition rather than opportunity. Praying for deliverance. Take us back to Egypt. Get us out of this thing. It was much better then. Why has God done this? Why has he brought us out of this wilderness instead of being developed? Instead of going deeper into the promised land, they went different. They wanted to go back to Egypt. Instead of getting better and working through it and asking the right questions, they got bitter. Instead of being victors, they became victims, and they said, let's just go back. So they stayed stuck. They just wandered around in circles for 40 years. It took 2 or 3 days to get get Israel out of Egypt, and they could have been in the promised land, but because of their self-imposed prison, they put themselves in a self-imposed prison. Are you with me? I mean, there wasn't no door, lock on the door. There was a prison that they walked in and they could walk out at any time, but they made a choice. And they, instead of going through the fire and the pain, to go ahead and get into the promised land, facing the giants, dealing with it, and getting through to the other side, they said, let's go back to Egypt. But God wasn't going to let that happen because God's a good father, And they had some things they needed to learn. He wasn't going to deliver them. He was going to do what he needed to. So he just left them, and he says, y'all can just wander around until you learn your lesson. 40 years. And the penalty for that, of going different, was that they weren't even able to get into the promise. They missed out on their own divine destiny. And it was given away, what was meant for them was given away to their children. So there's two types of pain. There's the pain of being on this side, the pain of not changing, not growing, not wanting to go in the fire. You look at the fire and say, oh, not me. If I go into the fire, I may have to have some things flushed out of me, and I may have to take some ownership of my things, and I don't want to have to do with that. I'd rather be bitter than better. I'd rather be a victim, poor little old me, than a victim. I'd rather stay out of all that and be it safe and blame it on everybody else, project it on everybody else. So there's a pain of staying stuck, walking around with a broken arm, or walking around pregnant trying to birth a baby and staying stuck with your pain. If that's what you want, that's what you get. Then there's the pain of change. Saying, boy, that fire didn't look too good. I'm not looking forward to that. I don't want to deal with those things, but I'm so sick and tired of going through jail and doing the same things over and over again. The pain of staying here, it has become too great. Now I'm willing to endure the pain that's going to take me to get my freedom and into the promised land. So somewhere the pain of being stuck and being the way you are, being a victim, has to get greater than the pain of just saying, okay, let's do this thing, let's get to the other side. Because we know on the other side it's going to be, what? Glorious. That's God's method. I don't like it any more than you do, but it is what it is. Okay? That's the way He does things. 1 Corinthians 13:11 said, when I was a child, I used to speak as a child, think like a child, reason like a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. It's time to put away the childish things and grow up and go ahead and face the pain. How many ever saw that movie Platoon? Somebody got shot all up and arm blown off, or serious injury. The guy's just screaming. Tom Berenger finally runs over and just grabs him and slams him to the ground and gets in his face and says, "Take the pain, take the pain. Quit whining, take the pain, take the hit." I thought that was cool. Yeah. Sometimes we just need somebody to slap us around and say, "Take the pain, grow up, quit messing around. Quit whining, get some backbone instead of some wishbone. Your life ain't no different than me. I was abused, I was sexually molested, I've been through all this stuff, and so don't tell me about pain, brother." Sometimes we won't understand our pain until it becomes somebody else's gain. Understand? A couple of years ago, I went through a situation, and man, I was in the darkest, deepest place in my life. I couldn't understand what in the world, God, why would you do this to me? I was at the top of my spiritual life. Amazing. I had been, and all of a sudden I find myself in this type of prison thing, and I was like, Lord, I couldn't understand what was going on. And I stayed there, couldn't find God, couldn't do anything. But God got me through. God got me to the other side. And today, the pain that I went through now can be available for gain for others. You understand? Today, what I went through, I can identify real fast when I've been there, I've done that. In that case, instead of kicking a dead dog under down, say, "Brother, let me pray for you. I've been there. Let me walk with you. Let me help you." My pain that I didn't understand now becomes this person's gain, and now you go, "I got you." You know what I'm saying? Those abortions, those divorces, that molestation, that perversion, all these things, when we finally own it, deal with the pain, get the inner healing, then we get through to the other side, and now we can bring other people to the other side with us. Come on, get through. Come on, baby, you can do this. You can do this. Jesus was in Gethsemane, getting ready to face the most horrible pain physically a person could ever endure, the cross, the crucifixion. He told his disciples, "Wait here and pray." He said, "My soul's in agony, I'm grieving, it's so intense, I'm sweating blood. I'm not looking forward to that cross, baby. I don't want to do this thing." And he goes and prays, "Father, if there's any way we can deliver me out of this, please. I don't want to face that pain." You didn't get no answer. So he goes back to his boys. The boys are sleeping and says, man, can't you pray with me? Can't you see I'm struggling here? I need you. Stick with me. You know, I don't want to do this. He goes back again and says, Father, I pray again, if this cup can pass from me, let it be. But not my will, let thy will be done. He already knew what God's will was. He knew he was going to have to go to the cross. Finally, after getting no answer the second time, finally he says, okay, let's do this thing. And he jumped up, and the next thing we know, here they were. They took him to the cross. Hebrews 12:2 says that we're to fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and he is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. Jesus took the hit. He took the pain. He did all that for our gain. He didn't pray to be delivered. He asked to be delivered, but his heart was, okay, I pray to be delivered. Well, whatever, God, if this is what your will is, then make me tough. Don't take me out of the fire. Make me strong in the fire and get me to the other side. We can do this thing. His pain became our gain. What if he'd have said, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm going back home. Let's go back to Egypt and say what I bargained for. And I know you told me, but no, I want to go do my own thing. What if he had done that? What if he hadn't went through with the fire that God imposed on him? John 5 talks about the pool of Bethesda. Jesus going up to pray or whatever, and there was a man there that had been ill for 38 years with a lingering disorder. That means 38 years he had some kind of disorder that was just hanging out. He couldn't get rid of it, couldn't wish it away, couldn't pray it away, no doctors. Jesus saw him lying there, and he knew he'd already been there a long time in that condition. He said to him, do you want to get well? You would have thought he said, heck yeah, man, I've been waiting forever. Come on, where do we go? What are we going to do? What's your answer? He goes, oh, well, you know, I don't really have nobody to put me in the pool down there when the angel shows up to stir the waters. And, you know, I've been like this a long time, and when I'm coming, somebody else steps up before me. Jesus lovingly didn't light him up, but he pretty much told me, get up, pick up your pallet and walk. And immediately he got up, he picked up his pallet and began to walk. Folks, life is life. It is what it is. I don't like it any more than you do. We've all got pain. Somewhere that pain has to be greater than the pain of going ahead and doing what we need to do. So let me ask you tonight, how many of you really want to get well? It's going to be painful. But that's why God brought you here. Are you with me? That's why you're here. God's helping you. So come easy, come hard. It's God's method. It is the way it is. But if you really want to get well, you've got to get up, pick up, and you need to get to walking. Quit asking for wishbone and start getting some backbone, and let's get with the program. Amen? Amen. So, back to our scriptures. Furthermore, we had earthly fathers to discipline us. We respected them. How much more, rather, shall we be subject to God and embrace His fires and live? For they, our earthly fathers, disciplined us for a short time as seemed good and best to them, but He disciplines us for our own good. He's not codependent. So that we may share in His holiness. All discipline for the moment seems not to be joyful but sorrowful, but afterward, when we've submitted to it and been trained by it and embraced it, it yields a peaceable fruit of righteousness. I just like the way that sounds. No pain, no gain. Verse 12 and 13 goes on and says, therefore, in light of what we just said, strengthen your hands, quit your whining. Strengthen your hands that are weak and your knees that are feeble. Make straight paths for your feet, so that which is limb and which is lame may not be put out of joint, but rather be healed. Let's go ahead and take the pain, face the pain, do what you need to do. Trust me, it's not worth it. I've seen so many guys get ready to do their houses and they leave the night before their house because they don't want to confess or there's something in there. You know, when God already knows it anyway. And to be honest with you, I've heard it all and been there, done that. I mean, I've heard it all. I keep telling them, look, there ain't nothing you can come up with in there that I ain't already heard. Trust me, it'll be much better getting it off your chest. I've seen guys come out and confess something they've never told nobody in houses. And they get it off their chest. And they all look at the guys and they go, that ain't no big deal. I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden they go, all these years I've been carrying that, hiding that in my closet. Come to find out, it was so much better just to go to your house and get it off your chest. Let's don't go through this mountain again. Amen?
Amen.